All right, so today we are going to talk about using trig to solve for a missing angle. Technically, we're going to use inverse trig, but we'll get there. All right, so let's look at our first one here. It says if AB is 6, so I'm going to put a 6 right here, and BC is 4, what is the measure of angle A? So there's our angle A, and of course, on our assessment, the C was our right angle. Okay, so let's take a look here. Well, looking at this angle, this side across from it is our opposite. Our hypotenuse is always across from our 90-degree angle. It's our hypotenuse. This side here would be the adjacent. Okay, well, looking at our stuff here, we've got our 4. Whoa. Let me try that one more time here. Okay, we got our 4, which is our opposite, and our 6, which is our hypotenuse. So we're going to talk about good old-fashioned SOHCAHTOA. I'll put those back up for you here. We got our opposite and our hypotenuse. In SOHCAHTOA, one of them will have the opposite and the hypotenuse, and if you guys look closely, you can see that it is sine. So we're going to take the sine always of our angle. So the sine of angle A equals our opposite, which is 4, over our hypotenuse, which is 6. Now you can't do the sine of A on your calculators. Your calculators know how much A is. So that's what we've got to figure out. So to solve this, what we're actually going to do is we're going to do the inverse sine of 4 over 6, and that will actually equal our angle. So on our calculators, we do the inverse sine. So a lot of you will have to hit second or shift on your sine button to get the inverse sine of 4 over 6. And that will give us 41 point, if we round to nearest tenth, 8 degrees equals A. All right, next up, let's take a look here. So that was our first problem. Even though this says number 2 right here, it's really our first problem because the first problem on the assessment was who's your teacher. All right, let's take a look at the second one here, which is number 3. It says if AB equals 10, so I'll put that in, and AC equals 5, what is the measure of angle A? That's what we're trying to find. And of course, this was our 90-degree angle here, angle C. Well, looking at our question mark here at our angle, angle A, we have our adjacent, that side that's right next to it, which is 5. And then we have also our 10, which is across from our 90 degrees. It's our hypotenuse. So here we have our adjacent and our hypotenuse. And the side that's opposite, of course, would be right here, but we don't have any numbers there, so we're not going to really worry about that too much. So we have our adjacent and hypotenuse. In SOHCAHTOA, one of our trig ratios will have adjacent and hypotenuse in it, and if we look closely, we can see that cosine has adjacent and hypotenuse. So we're going to take the cosine of our angle, angle A, equals our adjacent, which is 5, over our hypotenuse, which is 10. Now you can't take the cosine of A on your calculator, but you can take the inverse cosine of 5 over 10, and which will equal A, and then we just do the inverse cosine. Inverse cosine here of 5 divided by 10 will give us 60 degrees. So 60 degrees equals the measure of angle A. All right, on to our next one here. Number 4, which is our third question. If AC equals 39, and BC equals 30, what is the measure of angle B? So right here, that's our question mark that we're trying to find. Well, if we look here at angle B, all the way across is our opposite, and then the side that's next to it is our adjacent. So we have our opposite and our adjacent. In SOHCAHTOA, one of these trig ratios will have opposite and adjacent, and if you look closely, you will notice our tangent has opposite and adjacent in it. So we're going to take the tangent of our angle, which is B, equals our opposite, which was 39, over our adjacent, which is 30. Now we can't do the tangent of B on our calculators, but we can do the inverse tangent of 39 over 30. That'll give us our B. Now we do that on our calculators, inverse tangent of 39 divided by 30, and that will give us 52.4, if we round, degrees, equals the measure of angle B. All right, moving on to our next one. If AB equals 15 So right here we're going to put a 15. And AC equals 12. What is the measure of angle B? So right here, B is our question mark. Okay, so our opposite side, our opposite side all the way across from that angle is right here, that 12, that's our opposite. And, oh, sorry, C was our 90-degree angle. And our hypotenuse, we know, is always across from our 90-degree angle. So right here, this is our hypotenuse. And the side that's right next to our angle there, that would be our adjacent. But we don't really care about that as much because the only sides with numbers are here and here are opposite and hypotenuse. So we're going to use opposite and hypotenuse. In SOHCAHTOA, we're going to look and see which trig ratio has opposite and hypotenuse. Turns out sine has opposite and hypotenuse. So we're going to take the sine of our angle, angle B, and equals our opposite, which is 12, over our hypotenuse, which is 15. Now we can't do the sine of B on our calculators, but we can do the inverse sine of 12 over 15, and that will equal a measure of angle B. So let's check it out here. Inverse sine of 12 over 15 will give us 53.1 if we round it to nearest 10th degrees. That is the measure of angle B. All right, number 6. If AB equals 17 and BC equals 12, what is the measure of angle B? Also our 90-degree angle, of course, in all of these is going to be C. Okay, so let's take a look here. Our opposite side would be over here. It's not going to be very helpful in this case. Our hypotenuse, I should say, is always across from our 90-degree angle, so that's our hypotenuse. And our adjacent is the side that's right next to the angle we're looking at, so right there. That 12 is our adjacent. So we're going to use our adjacent and our hypotenuse because we've got values for both of those sides. And we don't know anything about our opposite side here, so we're just going to kind of ignore that. So we got our adjacent and our hypotenuse. In SOHCAHTOA, one of these ratios will have adjacent and hypotenuse in it. And if you look carefully, cosine has adjacent and hypotenuse. So we're going to take the cosine of our angle, which is B, equals our adjacent, which is 12, over our hypotenuse, which is 17. Now we can't take the cosine of B on our calculator, but we can take the inverse cosine of 12 over 17, and that will equal our B. Now we're going to do that on our calculators. The inverse cosine of 12 divided by 17 is going to give us 45.1 degrees if we round to the nearest tenth. That'll be the measure of angle B. Hey, we're almost done. Last one. If BC equals 42 and AC equals 50, what is the measure of angle A? Okay, so looking at angle A, our opposite side is right here. Our adjacent side, the side that's next to it, is right here, this 50. So we've got our opposite and adjacent. In SOHCAHTOA, one of these has opposite and adjacent. If you guys look carefully, tangent has opposite and adjacent. So we're going to take the tangent of our angle. Our angle is A. Tangent of A equals our opposite, which is 42, over our adjacent, which is 50. We can't take the tangent of A on our calculators, but we can take the inverse tangent of 42 over 50, and that will equal our A. So we busted our calculators. The inverse tangent of 42 divided by 50 will give us 40.0 degrees, equals the measure of angle A. And that, my friends, is our final answer. Hopefully you found this helpful. I will see you guys later. This was Mr. Yost.